today. We have with us Jonathan Hammond. He is a Maui-based author, spiritual teacher, energy healer, shamanic practitioner, and spiritual counselor. He is a graduate of Harvard University and the University of Michigan. Jonathan teaches classes in shamanism, earth-based psychology, energy healing, spiritual counseling at the Omega Institute for Holistic Studies, the Shift Network, the One Spirit Learning Alliance, Shamanic Reiki Worldwide, Glide Wing online workshops, Healing Touch Professional Association, and Penn State University. Jonathan has worked alongside shamans in Brazil, Bali, Nicaragua, Mexico, and Hawaii. He is ordained in Hawaiian interfaith and Wiccan traditions, holds master teacher status in shamanism and Reiki, and also has an audio course on shamanic practice entitled The Shaman Within. He lives in Maui in Hawaii and has a robust practice with an international client base. He is the author of The Shaman's Mind, Huna Wisdom to Change Your Life. It's an amazing book. I loved it. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Aloha, Paula and everyone. Thank you for having me.
Oh, so happy to have you here. Well, I would love to have you share a bit of your background because you have just such an amazing story coming from New York City and ending up in Maui with what you're doing. Please share a little of that with us, please.
Well, I was originally I was an actor. My parents saw a kind of great mimic, and they kind of thought actor, as did I. And so I pursued that for many years. I was in the Broadway community there, and all of that. And I was never a fame-driven actor. I was more of an artistry-driven actor, meaning that I was, if you think about an actor, you learn the lines, you learn the blocking, and you hope for inspiration to come through. And the inspiration coming through is essentially where my life is now. It's really, I'm channeling in some ways creatively in the same way now in my healing work. But around my late 30s, I was done with that, and the healing stuff and the energy practices and the shamanism and the psychology that really took over in me. And I remember saying to friends, I'd be in a production and I'd say, can you not wait for this to be over? And they would say, no, we want this to continue. And I couldn't wait for it to be over. And it was a scary thing to really recalibrate your life in your late 30s and start an entirely different career. But I also think that if we're doing life right, we have some major iterations of ourselves. And when it's time to change, we can feel it. When it's time to change, it's time to change. And it was time for me to make a change. Then I just had, through a whole bunch of random occurrences, I was connected to Hawaii and later in my life, and found that all of my spiritual understanding sort of congealed in what I learned from Hawaiian shamanism, which is what my book is about. Which is it's very psychological, very philosophical, and it's sort of it helped me understand shamanic practice and spirituality in a very, very practical way. And then, I had a private practice in New York, and COVID happened, and I moved everyone online, and I thought Hawaii was going to be later in life, but I was able to move everything online, as a lot of people learned during COVID, and so now Maui's home for the last 5 years.
Oh, that is so awesome. And it makes me think of something you said in your book. You say, we each have an intuitive voice inside that lives deep within our body. And we really do. Mm-hmm. I mean, isn't it amazing how, we can strive for this, and this is my goal, this is what I'm doing, and end up just going a whole different direction and finding a passion in something. And
in shamanism, we would say that intuitive voice, that felt sense, that sense of this feels right, this feels like what I'm supposed to be doing, that felt sense is actually the same energy that grows nature. That instinctive wisdom within us is the same energy that is underlying all of nature, because all of nature follows that felt sense toward this feels right, this doesn't feel right, this feels growthful, this feels evolutionary. So, so the part of us that is connected to our felt sense, that inner animation within us, that is how we are connected. We are beings of nature, just like the animals, and it's the same energy that lives in our bodies.
That is so amazing. Oh my gosh, that's fascinating. Is there anything we could do to maybe take a step or do to just help us connect to more of that intuition and that with nature? And what would you say on that?
Well, I think there are two areas of consciousness that we all have. One is the head, and one is the body. And the head is filled with a lot of acculturated and socialized ideas about what we're supposed to be and who we're supposed to be, and the shoulds and the oughts and the ought nots and the should nots. And we have a part of the psyche that assimilates with the mental, with these ideas of what we should be, that often override the organic truth of our body. So the organic truth of our body might say, I'm too tired to go to that party, but the head part says, what are they going to think if I don't go to that party? And so the more that we can start differentiating what is the acculturated narrative in our minds that is very different than the felt senses of our body, and making that distinction. And the culture itself, the toxicity of contemporary culture is about, we don't want you listening to your body. That's why the major religions cut you off at the waist. They don't want you listening to your body. They want you listening to their dogmatic rules about what we're supposed to be, which are largely about oppression and control. So the more that we're attuned to our bodies, the more that we're attuned to nature, our own inner nature and the nature outside. And so when we start, and I think the big return in terms of consciousness is around a return to nature, and because nature just wants to keep growing itself and growing beyond its current circumstances and affirming itself as it is, and in an unapologetic expression of what it is. And I think if we were left alone to do that, we would become actually more like that. And I think that the new consciousness is really largely around that, or largely around a return to something that is deep within us that has been acculturated out of us.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So is that kind of what unity consciousness is?
I think so. I mean, if you think of, if you just think of an ecosystem, everything is interdependent, everything is working together, everything is communicating with everything else, and everything, by virtue of simply being itself, gives its gift. So the tree takes for itself, it takes of the oxygen, it takes of the water, and at the same time, it gives its gift of the oxygen, and is connected to the all. And so unity consciousness is really about a sense that there really is only one organism. There's an idea called the Gaia theory, which a NASA scientist came up with in 1979, and he postulated, it's now a theory, it used to be a hypothesis, now it's a theory, the idea that the Earth itself operates like one body, like one being, and that each individual being on the Earth contributes to that one entity, that one body. So you could say that we are all individual cells that are doing our part and maintaining our own health in service to the organism of which we are a part.
Oh, that's amazing. That is so amazing. Oh, and I know for myself in my shaman training that I did in Sedona, Arizona, what I felt from that is such a connection and being more aware of nature and the animals, and just connecting more with that instead of being this human that's like so separate.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what's made us so sick is we have bought the idea that separation is not an illusion, which it most certainly is. Separation is an illusion. We are all interconnected. There was just not a week ago, a tsunami watch here because of an earthquake in Russia, and it turned out that thank God there was no there, But the idea is that we really are all that connected, and the consciousness of separation, the us and them, black, white, good, bad, Democrat, Republican, all of that is really killing us, and it is contrary to the reality of nature, which is about that all things interdependently work together. Even a healthy ecosystem, it has the most diversity. That actually is a hallmark of a healthy ecosystem, how diverse it is. And yet diversity right now is being is being threatened, and yet that threat is not, they're not following the natural law. That's why it feels so wrong, and it feels so toxic, and leads to such violence and othering and all those things. So a return to nature is a return to the fact that we are all in this together, and that we are all individual beings, but also collectively participating. So a hallmark of indigenous mind would be self-aware and collectively aware equally. And we are the most self-aware and the least collectively aware species that has ever existed on the planet. Oh. And that's and so the return, the separation between human culture and nature is where we really have gotten into such trouble.
Yeah, and we can move forward and connect more with nature, and oh my gosh, what we can gain for that in physical and emotional, and oh my gosh. So what would you say, discovering shamanism and all of that? Give us a couple examples of what really was a wow for you, that just was so amazing and rewarding for you.
Well, I think shamanism is not like a lot of spirituality. Unlike a lot of spirituality, shamanism is not about being good. Shamanism is about being true. Shamanism is about about discovering our authenticity, and our authentic nature would lead us toward a natural morality. We all instinctively have that. And so when we recognize that we are beings of nature, we come home to something in ourselves and in each other that is just more collective and shared. So it's that, and it's also that that there really are spiritual forces around the planet, meaning people who have attained a certain amount of consciousness, a high amount of consciousness, who have decided once they've passed on to not sort of float away in a nirvanic cloud of ice cream, but to stay around the planet and help. And that when we call on them, they are there because they are there only for one purpose, which is the ecstasy to help. And when we also, as humans in bodies, also are of service and also want to help, we become like them. And when we become like them, we start forming a relationship with them because we are in vibrational accordance with them. And so in shamanism, when we talk about the shaman working with the spirits, we're talking about the shaman becoming like the spirits and the spirits taking notice. And it really does work like that. And one can even set up the conditions with the spirits where you say, I'm going to be of service here. I'm going to do your work for you down here, with the understanding that you will give me what I need to keep doing that and to do that abundantly. So even when I talk about service, that is not selfless service. That is actually a road to abundance, because the spirits recognize that when we have it to give, we give. Yeah. And if we are oriented toward giving, then the conditions are set up that we have what we need. The idea being that I'm so full I can't help but. And I think if we could all recognize that that's where we're going. It's not about hoarding wealth. It's about having what we need so that we give from fullness. Yes. Just like everything in nature does.
Yes. And I really believe when we give and have kindness and caring and help others, I mean, we get so much more in return. I mean,
yes. Also, I would say because there are truly dark forces, on the planet right now, it's also important to recognize for all the empaths who are watching this broadcast, which is everyone who's watching, that empaths have to have discernment around who gets their love and who doesn't, and who gets their attention and who doesn't. The narcissist feeds on the empath's attention. And so when the empath doesn't give the attention to the narcissist, the empath is their energy and their spaciousness is freed up to create the world that they want. And right now, it is about that there are two, as has been prophesied by many different indigenous prophecies, that there are these two major kind of consciousnesses that are existing on the planet. One that is relatively new, that is moving toward unity and love and understanding and ecological awareness, and another one that is based on separation. And these two consciousnesses are bumping up against each other now. And when we give our attention to that old one, that dying one, and even though it looks like it's in power, it is indeed dying, because it's not following natural law, and so it's going to die itself out. And if we give our love and our attention and our creativity toward the new earth, the world that we prefer, the world that we want to create, rather than every time we get the daily outrage, we have a big reaction, and they get our love and our reaction. No, as much as you can, focus on what it is that you want and not on what you don't want. So there's a principle in the Huna tradition, the Hawaiian tradition, that says energy flows where our attention goes. So creative energy is attracted to where we're placing our attention. And that creative energy doesn't have a preference. We can also put our attention to something that isn't life affirming, or that isn't positive, or that is toxic. So the idea is that we really, right now, it's important that we discipline ourselves. If we are well enough to and free enough to decide where it is we place our attention, that we place our attention in growing the world we want and not the one we don't want. And that's where we are right now.
And that is a powerful statement. That is huge. Where we put our attention, that is going to be what we create more of, isn't it?
Yes. And if you think of magic, well, what I mean by magic is conscious manifestation, creating reality with our minds. The building blocks to that are heightened emotion, attention, visualizing, and taking action. So when we are putting heightened emotion and visualization and attention on something, we are co-creating magically with it. And so we want to make sure that we're not co-creating a reality that we don't want. So when we imagine the worst happening, we are lending our co-creative juice to that. And so, and I am here to tell you that the prophecies talk about a very dark time, the time that we're in, 1950 to now, and will continue for next sort of 500, 2,000 years. But that it would be a difficult time, but a time we would get through, and that there would be, at this time, all of these beings who would incarnate at this time, who would usher in this new consciousness. And if you think of, you go to Barnes & Noble, it's only been within the last 30 years that all the esoteric wisdom that was secretly hidden is available to us at our fingertips. That is by design. That is because there are all these beings who are here now. And if you're watching this, I promise you're one of them. You're one of them. And there are all these beings that are here to usher in this new way. And we all have to claim our seat in that. We all have to recognize that we're that. And it doesn't mean that you have to start a foundation or join Greenpeace or whatever. It just means your individual cell in the one organism. Clean it up, make it life affirming, make it loving, make it growthful. And if you just do that, you're doing your part. You can do that without ever leaving your house, and you're contributing.
Yes. And would you say intention and acceptance, something like, instead of I want manifestation, or I want a healthy planet, I say yes to a healthy planet. See it done. And you take all the negativity out of that.
Yes. Well, first of all, I think that people don't want enough. I don't think they want for themselves. I think the minute that we have a want, there is a sense of doubt, fear, and future disappointment. So I do think the idea of really legitimizing your want. You know, your want is, that's the instinctual, that's your nature. The squirrel wants the nuts, the shark wants the other fish, the tree wants the rain. Wanting is a part of nature. And so I do think we have to legitimize our wanting. That's the most important thing. And then once that's done, then yes, act as if you imagine a reality where that thing that you want has come into being. So and make no mistake, the imagination is such an important tool in spiritual work, because you can't get from there to there. You cannot be in one reality, want to get to another reality without imagining into that new reality. That is a precursor to entering into that reality. So imagination is vitally important. So want and imagination are really important to co-creating your life.
Yeah. So imagine it and just allow it, put it out there. Oh my gosh.
And address the doubt. There's going to be doubt. If there's any new any conscious change that we make, there is going to be doubt and fear. That's just, and a lot of times the doubt and fear takes us out of the process, rather than us recognizing that that is a normal part of any change. The psyche is conditioned to protect us from what is unknown, even unknowns that are positive and growthful and all those things. So we have to recognize that when the doubt and fear comes up, we say, yes, that's there, but I'm going to feed the potential. Starve the doubt, feed the potential. Starve the doubt, feed the potential.
I love that. Starve the doubt, feed the potential. Oh my goodness. Tell us a little bit, share your website and tell us a little bit about the workshops you do and what everyone can learn about you and set
Sure.
up with you.
Sure. JonathanHammond.com, really easy. Or if you just put in shaman Maui, I'm probably going to be the first thing that comes up. So you can find me easily. I have a program starting September 6th, based on my book. It's a much more deeper dive than my book. That's an online course called The Shaman's Mind, based on my book. I'm at the Omega Institute in person every year. And I'll be there. I was just there, and I'll be back again next year. And you can always find me online. The lion's share of my work is individual one-on-one work. So I do something called transpersonal counseling. So the personal is your psychology, your habits of thought, your work, your family, all of that. But the transpersonal part is that which is beyond the personal. So we look at energy, purpose, belief, spirit, astrology, where you fit in the cosmology of the world right now. So we look at that which is beyond the personal as also information that helps us in our in the personal story as well. So that's largely what I do with people.
I love it. I love it. And something that I was touched by in your book, you said the best healers are the ones who have suffered the most.
Yeah. Because it grows your empathy. I mean, Carl Jung said, the wounded healer. That was the archetype, and the best healers are the wounded ones because they've been there. So often when we actually when we heal, and healing is real. Healing is real. We actually can get over things and get to the other side of things and let things go. That those things can really happen. We do not need to hold them forever. It's usually a process, but healing is real. And when we get to the other side of healing, we've been touched by grace. Something has touched us that has allowed us to move past some wound. And when that happens, there's a sense of we want to pay it forward. And so though the healers who have the wounds and who have gotten through them, they tend to go into the healing professions. Even the idea of in shamanism, there's something called a shamanic illness, and that means that there is some physical illness, mental illness, life circumstance, something that so jostles the person that it makes them over, and it has a transformative effect. And one of kind of the precursors of shamans, of people who become shamans, is that they have had that kind of an illness. That it has to do with that more than anything else. Certainly more than something cultural, or because you've taken some class or been initiated in some ways. A lot of times when people say to me, "I want to be a shaman," I say, "Do you really?" Because it's not cute. It's tough road. It's a tough road.
Oh, I am one day going to do one of your workshops and meet you. I'm just fascinated by your book and your knowledge. And with shamanism, it was years ago, and there was a journey we went on. And I literally, from then on, I said, I see through new eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so eye-opening. Yeah, shamanism is really a beautiful thing.
And also, I think a lot of people, there's something called synchronicity, and synchronicity is where some event happens that has meaning, and there's no causal reason for it. It's that thing where you think of someone you haven't thought of in a long time, and they text you, or you're wondering about something, and some animal crosses your path, or you're thinking about taking a class, and you get the mistaken email, and you're those sort of things. And I don't think that we clock those. I think we absolutely clock the dangerous things when the things come up that we don't like. We remember those, but we don't remember the signs from the universe that are telling us you're in the right place. You're even 1111, 1, 2, 3, 4, those kind of numbers. A lot of people see them, and they're there for a reason. And we're supposed to clock them. We're supposed to acknowledge them. They're the energies of the universe helping us, guide us. And if we can recognize that there's the instinct of the felt senses and the external forces all trying to get us where we're supposed to go, that we're that loved.
I love it. Oh, Jonathan, you are so awesome. We have about 2 minutes left. Jonathan, what last message do you want to leave with everyone today?
I think don't buy what you're seeing on television. There's something right in front of you that needs attention. There's something inside of you that needs investment, self-investment, and those we can't wait anymore. It's time for you. If there is some potential that you are supposed to step into it. Now is really the time. Now is the time when we all have to garner as much power as we can, because the people who are of the light need to recognize that they are of the light, and that the darkness does not overtake us. It pushes us towards more light, but we have to be empowered to be in that.
Oh, I love that. It doesn't take us, it pushes us to more light. Yes. And, the more light we each go to, and the lighter that is, the earth, the lighter that is there for everyone. And, our positive and caring energy can spread, can it? Each one of us can make a difference for ourselves and the world.
I often tell my clients, give them something to emulate. Give them something, be something, become something for them to emulate, so that the people who are suffering go, what are they having over there? I want to find out what they're having over there. And that's a way that we can get them. We're not trying to change them.
Yeah.
We're not trying to change them. We're trying to give them something to look at and say, here's a possibility that's better than the ones that are presenting themselves to you.
Oh, I love that. That is awesome. Brilliant. Oh my gosh. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much. And honey, a heartfelt thank you for all that you're doing for so many. Your